Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cozy Girls Club, the coziest podcast on the internet where we grow with purpose and we build with cozy vibes only. If you're new here, my name is Michaela, your host. I am an entrepreneur, business owner, video editor, podcaster, content creator, love all things media, and yeah, wife, dog mom. There's so many things that I do that it's hard to fit into one little sentence. But just to give you a little intro, that's a little bit about me. Before we get into today's episode, I wanted to share some highlights, give you a little update. So last week I told you that I got a new phone and my case finally came. So that was a big highlight for me. And then yesterday was actually just so rainy and it actually stormed a little bit, and it was the coziest edit day of my life. I was so productive yesterday, and that was just really good for me. Really good for me. So I'm glad that I was able to be productive. I also made a new promo video, which you guys probably have seen, for my business, and that did really well, and it got a lot of leads. And so I'm in the process of like signing people for May, and that's really cool. So those are my highlights this week. Not a whole lot, but they're big enough to share, especially my phone case. Today, we are talking about embracing a cozy business mindset. This journey for me has been a lot of unlearning hustle culture, and it's coming from somebody who was a burnt out business owner. I feel like I had to learn this mindset to be able to take it into my business now and to see it be sustainable and cozy, and it's something that actually fills me and doesn't drain me. So let's talk about it. So what is the cozy business mindset? This means learning how to work hard and to work efficiently, but also knowing when to step back and to take a break. It's learning to run a business that honors your peace. I think today in our society, we just see work, post a lot, do a lot, be out a lot, all the things, but there's such a beauty in like taking it one step at a time, but also like taking it at your own pace. My one step at a time might look faster than your one step at a time, or your one step at a time may look faster than mine, but I can't compare, which we will get into. But I've heard music artists, I've heard content creators all talk about how they will get into this profession, this industry that they love, and they no longer love what they do because it became more of this hustling, this like constant pressure to perform, to be on, to be a certain thing. Something that they used to love became a burden. And that's not what we want to do with our business. It's okay to want both peace and success. So we're going to talk about it today. So these are some things that I wish that I knew before I started a business. Later in this episode, I will be going through some thread posts, or I guess thread replies to my post about what other business owners and entrepreneurs wish that they knew before starting their business. And I thought it was so cool to just see kind of like everybody else's like perspective. So these are mine. Later in the episode, we'll go through you guys in my community connect, and yeah, we'll just talk about it all. So the first thing is that you don't earn rest. Rest is actually something that our bodies need. Our bodies thrive from rest. Our bodies work from rest. And so when we think that we have to earn it, or when we think that we have to do XYZ first before rest, that's a no. For me, rest is a priority. I work from rest. I thrive from rest. My business thrives from me resting. When I step away from my business and come back, I feel so much more motivated. I feel like I can be more productive instead of pushing through this constant burnout over and over and over. It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way for me. The second thing that I wish I knew was that success can be slow and still sustainable. When I was running my nail business, I was trying to keep up with people that have been doing this for years. And also when I was like really trying to get into like UGC, and when I was trying to just be strictly a content creator. I was doing all of these things that I thought would get me following fast, get me monetized fast, and all the things, instead of being true to who I am and what my purpose is and what I bring to the table. I was trying to be all these other things, and I was trying to grow fast, and that will burn you out as well. Trying to grow fast and trying to grow like other people is just not gonna work. It's not gonna work. You have to grow at your own pace. You're gonna grow at the rate that works best for you. I used to think slow was almost lazy or like you weren't working hard enough, but now I know it's actually strategic. And this brings me into my third point, which is your business doesn't have to look like everyone else's. It doesn't have to look like anybody, honestly. Comparison really takes the cozy vibes out of everything. It really does. It takes the cozy vibes out and puts you right back into hustle culture because, like I said, I was trying to keep up with the people that were at the top that have been doing it for years, and I just started last month. Like, girl, sit down. It's okay. Grow at your own pace. I started my video editing business in January, the end of January, and it is the beginning of April 8th to be exact, that I am recording this. So in 2 months, I feel like I've grown so much just by slowing down. I've grown so much in my knowledge of business, in my way of doing my business. Like, I've just been able to take a step back and like look at it from a bird's eye view and be like, okay, this is what I need to focus on to get to this point. So I'm not going to try to rush to get to this point just yet, because just because this person is looking like that doesn't mean that I'm going to look like that if I try to get there. Does that make sense? We don't want to compare, y'all. We don't want to compare, which also leads me into my next point, is that your productivity does not define who you are. It's not your identity. Notice how I introduced myself at the beginning, that I was a business owner, I was a content creator, I was a podcaster, a wife, a dog mom, a daughter, a woman of God, like all these things that I am and that I identify as. I can't say that my productivity is like my identity. I can't say that my identity is coming from my productivity, because if I'm not being productive, then I'm not being myself, and that just doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense, because you're so many other things. You're human, and that matters more than a title. It matters more than being able to call yourself a certain name. You are a person with hobbies and interests and all of these different things, and to ground yourself into an identity of productivity just doesn't make sense. Can we count how many times I said that it just doesn't make sense in that last like 45 seconds? Number 5 is that you define success. And what I mean by this is not like, okay, what does success look like to everybody else? Like, success is you set a goal and you reach that goal. If I say I want to make $100 at the end of the week and I make $100 at the end of the week, I just succeeded in my goal, and that is success. Success in your business is what you want it to be. I always say dream big. I love dreaming big. I have big plans for my business, but I have to start with where I am right now. There's goals that I have that I say, like, for instance, build a successful podcast. Well, what does that look like to me? Because right now I have a podcast. I'm doing the thing. And to me, that's already a success. I've sat here week after week after week. I have not missed, except for one. I missed 1 week, and that was only because I was sick, but I've been consistent. And that was what success for me was in that goal, was to be consistent with a podcast and to build a strong community. And whether my community is 5 people or 500 people, I've built a community of people that want to listen, that do listen every single week. And this community is honestly constantly growing, and it makes me feel so good. And that was how I built success. Now, for somebody else, it could be like, I want a successful podcast that has 100,000 listeners minimum every single week. Well, that is their success. They define it that way. But for me, that's not the case. So you can define success however you want. Before, I thought chasing the numbers, chasing, the top status, to be with where the top dogs were, that was what success looked like. But now for me, success is building a business that brings me peace, that has a purpose, and that I can just show up fully as myself every single time, week after week, day after day. I can show up and I don't have to put on a front. I don't have to be a certain way, because this is something that I built. And the last thing is really for me, but God's timing and God's plan for me is so much bigger than my own. I wanted to go a completely different way. I wanted to be a nail tech. I wanted to go into that field, but I felt like even then, being there wasn't going to fulfill fully the purpose that God has for me and the purpose that I wanted to serve in my business. And being able to pivot into that has just been such an amazing journey to watch through. And it really is just because God is so good. Some doors didn't open the way that I wanted them to, but I know that it was divine direction to get me to where I am now. So after I learned all of those things, I had to then learn how to embrace it. So I want to give you some practical tips on how I started to embrace these, and hopefully it helps you. The first thing that I did was start with small shifts. I started setting softer launches where it wasn't this huge buildup. I remember doing that with my nails. I would be like, I'm going to drop this amazing new design because I saw other people doing it. Not going to lie to you, but I'm like, I'm going to drop this. Are you guys ready? And trying to hype it up, knowing goodness well, it wasn't that serious. It was not that serious. And though that works, and though you can do that, if it's not coming from a genuine place, it's not going to work. The softer launches, literally, I think I started falling back into this with my merch. I was like, okay, I have to make sure I have everything ready and make it this whole thing, because that's what everybody else does. They don't announce stuff right away. But I'm like, you know what? I'm excited about it. I want to talk about it. It might not come out within the next 2 days of me talking about it, but at least I can talk about it. It's mine. I built it. I made it. And I get to set the launch date and everything. Another thing with kind of starting slow and making these small shifts was making sure that there was a time of peace and joy every single day in my business. So working from home, one, is amazing because I love my home. I love the way that it's decorated. I love where I live. I love the natural light. I just love my home so much. And so already working from home is a big thing for me. But then adding little things into it, just being able to play music in the morning and make my morning super peaceful, and building this little routine in the morning for myself, to just be at peace going into work. I just think that it's such a big part of how I'm able to continue to run this and not burn out, is because I have that in the morning. So another way that you can embrace these things, when you figure out, okay, what should I know when going into building a business, starting to embrace those things, is to not chase numbers. Community and genuine followers are going to get you so much further than a bunch of numbers or a bunch of people that buy things one time will ever be. I think I said this last week in my podcast, but when I mentioned my merch on Instagram, I had so many people say that they were so excited for my merch and that they were going to purchase. And yes, people say that, and they're super hyped up and they're like, yes, I can't wait to have it. I'm gonna buy it as soon as it comes out. Yes, but it's the same people that I also see comment on my videos. It's the same people that I see every single piece of content I put out. It's the same people I see that follow me on all platforms. Like when you build a community, you start to recognize people, you start to see them engaging in everything. And that's what building a community is. It's not going viral on TikTok and then just having the followers on TikTok. But then when you try to move anywhere else, they don't follow you. Community is something that's going to embrace everything, and they're going to support everything. And I'm so thankful for the community that I have built and am building, even though my community is not huge. Even though if you look at my numbers, you're like, girl, what are you doing? Why are you making merch? You don't have the numbers for that. I do, because I have a faithful community. Okay, so I want to leave you with these journal prompts. I forgot to write them down in my notes, so I'm going back to my journal. Okay, here it is. I actually started a business journal on my iPad because I think that it's good to just write down your goals. I think it's good to just kind of reflect on what your business is doing. It helps shift and everything. So these are some journal prompts that I want to leave you with just after this whole conversation. I want to give you something to reflect on or just journal about, or if you just want to think about it, whatever. I don't care if you journal or not. That's just what I do. These are the 3 questions that I journaled about. What pace feels true to you right now? What would my business look like if it felt nourishing instead of draining? Am I chasing numbers or nurturing what I already have? Because I felt like I had to start all the way over, I'm still trying to build that community. And there's nothing wrong with still wanting to build, but also nurturing. And that's where I was just you know what, let me really think about this. Am I chasing more numbers, or am I trying to nourish the community that I'm in and that I have? I think that I'm doing a good job of balancing both. I would say so, but that's just me. The cozy business mindset is not to do less, but it is to do business with peace. That's it. If this episode resonated with you, I invite you to comment down below or to DM me and let's chat about it. I am so excited about this episode and kind of just where the episodes are going towards in Q2. I think that it's going to be really helpful, and we just dive into the nitty-gritty and stop staying surface level. So we're going to start talking about cozy stuff, nitty-gritty cozy stuff, if that even makes sense. So my hope for you for this episode is that it inspires you to build a business with intention and purpose, and to not be afraid to build it slowly. I also hope that it frees you from comparing to other people, because it truly, truly frees your mind. It frees your business and everything when you do it the way that you want it to be done and not how everybody else wants it to be done. Okay, so now we're into Community Connect, and I want to tell you guys what some people on Threads had to say. I posted a thread post that said, what did it say? I don't know. The question was, what is something you wish you knew before starting a business? A lot of people, I still am getting stuff to it. So maybe I'll link the thread post below so you can see everybody's, but I wrote a few here in my notes. So, and this time I remembered to write the handle. So we have the receipts. What is something you wish you knew before starting a business? At Lonnie Co said, it's so much more than just selling a product. It's never as easy as some make it look. You have to have a real passion and drive to keep going and continuously educating yourself and expanding your knowledge. That is so true. So true. So true. Build the Balance said, consistency is key. And yes, you want to keep showing up. Resting and just not showing up because you just don't feel like showing up every time, or you are done with it, are 2 completely separate things. But consistency is key. Continuing to push your product, to continuing to push your business is key. Aligned Business Collective said, mindset is everything. Whether it's inner work or needing to unfollow someone who you compare yourself to, taking care of your mindset is a must. And if you listened and you're still at this this point of the podcast episode, that's why you're here. Work-life balance VA said, it's worth my time to build the relationships. I found that most of my clients were referrals from other satisfied clients. Yes, it is worth the time to build those relationships. I feel like since leaving the like nail community world and getting into just this like entrepreneurship world, like it's not just about nails, but anybody who does any business, I feel like it's so cool to connect with that and those people and learn more about that. And then even through them getting clients for myself is like really cool because I do work that aligns with their work or whatever. It's just cool to see how you can actually work together. You can work with other people as an entrepreneur. You don't have to do everything by yourself. I think this is Grief in the Raw podcast. It says, I've learned that there's no guidebook to follow when it comes to discovering your personal and professional brand. In fact, they often mix. Lean into that. Your gifts will make room for you in every door God opens. That's so beautiful. I really like that. I definitely will be talking about that next week. Like I said, just like building a brand that feels like you. When something feels like you and feels like home, you want to be there. And that's kind of like my whole philosophy. And the last one I have here is the conceptual writer. Continue evolving. Don't be scared thinking it's different from where it started. It all adds up eventually and beautifully. Wow, I could not read. Looks like we're at the end of the episode. Yes, that is 100%. I loved all of these. I literally wanted to write so many more, but so many kept coming in that I just couldn't. But I love that because you do evolve and you do move, and sometimes your business might look completely different from where it started. I was doing nails. Who would have thought that a nail artist would turn into a video editor? Because I was not. I only started editing videos because I was making content. You will evolve, but don't be scared. Don't be upset. Just go with the flow. So with all that being said, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, rate the podcast. It helps other people see this podcast and just like know that it's a good podcast to listen to, especially as an entrepreneur, especially as a woman entrepreneur, especially as a Christian woman entrepreneur. It just really helps. So thank you guys so much. And until next week, bye everybody.